11:32 a.m. on Valentine's Day in Gwinnett, a call came through for 911 operatives. An operative picked the call and asked for the address of the emergency of the caller. The caller said Hunter Ridge Lane, Norcross. The operator asked the caller what is going on at the address. The caller said they heard at least 6 shots. He said they walked outside and they saw a guy lying on the ground bleeding. The operator asked the caller if it appears like the victim is breathing. The caller said the victim was barely breathing. The operator told the caller that police and paramedics are already on their way. The caller told the operative that he is not sure how long the victim was going to survive. For homicide detectives, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they do not get a lead within the first 48 hours. CPL Patrick Dunning briefed team members. He said when the call came in, it sounded like 6 to 7 shots. He said their victim was unfortunately in a pretty rough shape. ENS rushed the victim to the hospital, but he didn't survive. CPL Patrick said anytime someone gets murdered in the middle of the day, it makes it seem like the person who was responsible does not care if anybody sees them. He said it leads him to think that it could personal. A 19-year-old veteran with Gwinnett County PD, Corporal Patrick Dunning, who joined homicide a year ago, will lead the investigation. When CPL Patrick got to the scene of the incident, he met other detectives who had gotten there before him. He asked one of the detectives if they have gotten the name of the victim. The detective said the name of the victim is Darian Dennis. 24 years old Darian Dennis attended Hutchinson Community College. He worked as a furniture mover and hoped to get a commercial driver's license. Near where Darian's body was found, detectives found 2 .40 caliber shell casings and a .40 caliber Glock. A detective said the gun was next to the victim's hand that was laid out flat. He said it seems like the gun was in his hand when he fell. Sergeant John Richter said he got off 2 rounds. He asked other members of the casings, but they could not find any casings they believe from the suspect's gun. Darian's mother and brother have learned of his death and arrive at the scene. Darian's brother told CPL Patrick that he was just at the house when someone called him and informed him. He said he ran up there with his mother after they got the information. CPL Patrick asked Darian's brother if he lives in the complex. He said they stay at the back. CPL Patrick asked Darian's brother if they had any racial issues with anyone. He said they have no issues with anyone. While CPL Patrick was having a chat with Darian's brother, Darian's father called. He asked to speak with CPL Patrick. CPL Patrick introduced himself to Darian's father. Darian's father asked CPL Patrick that if somebody was saying that his son got shot. CPL Patrick replied in the affirmative, hoping to get a lead about who would want him dead. Darian's father said Darian always carried a gun. He said Darian has a Georgia state permit for concealed carry and owned a Glock. He said Darian left their apartment to go to a convenience store across the street. Corporal Harrison went over there with the hope that he could get anything on video that will show Darian at the store before the incident happened. He said the owner of the store has it on his phone and he was not there. Sergeant Micah Hegwood said the plan was to have the owner download that block of time. 2 hours in, a man who was hanging out by the store came forward. He said he heard a gunshot. Then after 30 seconds, he saw a Toyota car leaving the complex. He said the Toyota is a 4-door, cream-colored car with 2 holes in the driver's side. He said the car made a right turn. He said they were going slow, watching that nobody was coming. He said all he saw were 2 black males. CPL Brian Dormany asked if anyone saw a cream-color 4-door Toyota similar to a Camry slowly exiting the entrance to the apartment complex, but no one replied. A detective said the description the witness gave matches the evidence that the victim squeezed off 2 rounds. A license plate reader near the complex captured a car matching the suspect's vehicle moments before the 911 call. CPL Patrick told team members that they have a tag. The next job is to see if they can track it. CPL Patrick ran a tag number to see if it has been caught on other license plate readers since leaving the area. His search revealed that the car was the last hit in Cobb County off Bentley Road at 1:48. The car was just photographed 17 miles away. Corporal James Lawson tracked down the vehicle owner's address. It's registered to a woman 25 miles away in the same direction the car was heading. CPL Brian said they should go and talk to the owner and find out who got in the car and where the car is. The team left the scene and headed to the address of the owner. While they were driving, CPL Patrick said they are hopeful that they can at least put their eyes on the car. But if they don't see the vehicle, they will at least have to track down the owner. When they got to the address, they found a Toyota at the side of the building that matched what they were looking for. It had bullet holes. CPL Patrick told the driver to pull over and stay very close to the apartment. He told the driver to stay in a position where they will have to drive past them to leave the complex. Corporal Brian Dominy and John Richter will keep their eyes on the Camry while Corporal Patrick and Corporal Lawson will cobb the police headquarters to get a search warrant. Before they arrive, the suspect's vehicle left the complex and police stopped in a restaurant parking lot. Policemen told the driver to step out of the vehicle slowly. They told him to walk slowly towards the sound of their voice. The woman they apprehended is the owner of the suspect's vehicle. While officers took the woman to Cobb County PD for questioning, Corporal Richter and the team searched her apartment. When they arrived at the headquarters, she was taken into an interrogation room for questioning. Corporal Patrick Dunning and Corporal Lawson entered the room to interrogate her after she settled. Corporal Patrick Dunning introduced himself and his colleague. He told her that they are with the Gwinnett County Police. He told her that he was playing catch-up trying to figure out who she was and she was doing there today. She said she drove her car home this morning after spending the night at a friend's house. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her if she was currently living with someone. She said she lives with a friend of her ex-boyfriend. He asked her the name of the friend. She said his name is Quentin Lawton. He asked her how old Quentin was. She said Quentin should be 30 years old. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her where Quentin was when she came back around 8 a.m. She said she went to her room. She said Quentin might have been there, but she was not sure because she didn't see him. She said around 10 a.m., her friend picked her up to go shopping. She said they went to the store to get some outfits because they were going out. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her the actual time she got to her apartment in the evening. She said she got to her apartment around 6 p.m., and she got into her car and drove off. Corporal Patrick asked her if she noticed any damage to the vehicle when she was about to enter the vehicle. She said she was getting pulled over, so she got out of the car and she saw 2 holes that were taped on the driver's side. She said she started asking herself what was going on. Corporal Patrick asked her if Quentin drives. She said Quentin drives because he owns a BMW. Corporal Patrick told her that the reason why he was asking all those questions is that her car was involved in a shooting and the person that was shot died, so the case is a homicide investigation. He said she is more than welcome to start her explanation all over again. She said she believed that he may have done something. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her what she was referring to. She said, Quentin. She said Quentin has a spare key that she kept in the kitchen. He asked her if Quentin could potentially have accessed her car. She said Quentin called her a lot today. She said it was after 11 a.m. that Quentin called her, and he was saying something happened, but he was reluctant to tell her what happened. She said she texted him and asked if he was good. He told her that he was cleaning. Corporal Patrick asked her that when Quentin told her that he was cleaning, didn't she ask him what he was cleaning? She said she didn't because she was focused on her own thing. She said she just told him okay. Corporal Patrick asked her if Quentin talked about being with anyone. She said he didn't tell her someone was with him, but she heard the voice of a 16-year-old guy. Corporal Patrick asked her if she knows the name of the guy. She was not able to give him the name, but she gave him the nickname of the teenager. Corporal Patrick asked her that if he wants to see Quentin right now, Where would be the best place he can find him? She said she doesn't know. Corporal Patrick asked her if she doesn't have a problem with them looking through her phone. She said she doesn't have a problem with that. Corporal Patrick asked her if she knows whether Quentin was on social media. She said she has Quentin on Instagram. She gave them Quentin's name on Instagram and that of his teenager's friend. Corporal Patrick went through the phone and he was able to find the teenager's number. He told her that he saw evidence of phone calls. He said they will take her phone for a minimum of a night. He stood up and appreciated her cooperation before leaving the interrogation room with his colleague. While they were walking to their seats, Corporal Patrick told Corporal Lawson that they have two people of strong interest at the moment. He said, for now, both of them are the two main suspects. When they eventually joined other team members, they met the detectives who went to search the apartment. The detectives said they didn't find anything in the apartment. 30 years old Quentin Lawton has prior convictions for robbery with a firearm and armed false imprisonment in Broward County, Florida. Detectives used the teenager's phone number to track down his name. They were also able to get the license plate on the BMW car Quentin drove on the day of the incident. Corporal Patrick said there is a chance that Quentin could flee the jurisdiction of the state. He said he will put together search warrants for Darian's, Quentin's, and the teenager's phone records. He said he feels that there is a connection. He said hopefully the phone records will show that there is a connection between the suspects and the victim, and they will be able to put those suspects at the scene of the crime at the time of the homicide. The next morning, as they wait for the phone records, a video from the convenience store near the crime scene came in. The video revealed that 5 minutes before Darian's murder, he came outside of the store and was going through his phone. It was not clear whether he was texting or making a phone call or listening to music. It was like he was supposed to meet someone at the store. A few minutes later, he walked off away from the building and headed towards his apartment complex. A tan car moved out of the building as soon as Darian moved out. The detectives identified the car as the suspect's vehicle. Corporal Harrison said it was almost like the car moved when it spotted Darian. The car pulled on a Peachtree Corners circle, turned right, and pulled left into the apartment complex. The video showed Darian walking into the apartment complex a minute before the shooting. That afternoon, detectives decided to search the suspect's vehicle. After the search, detectives believed that the shot was fired by the driver. They agreed to test all the evidence for fingerprints and DNA. With little else to go on, Detective Patrick looked through Darian's Instagram page with the hope that he can see any connections between him and Quentin or the teenager. He saw a picture of Darian standing in front of his old school teammates. He also saw a video of Darian rapping at an event, but everything he saw did not reveal any connection between Darian, Quentin, and the teenager. In the first 48, Gwinnett County Homicide responded to the murder of 24 years old Darian Dennis. They spoke to a witness who saw a beige Toyota Camry leaving the scene with bullet holes in the driver's side door. They interviewed the owner of the Camry, who said that a man named Quentin Lawton had access to her car on the day of the incident. They also discovered a video of the Camry and Darian at the crime scene moments before the shooting. 5 days after Darian was murdered, Corporal Patrick said there has been a delay in the return on the cell phone records. He said that unfortunately, they are to the mercy of the cell phone companies. He said the longer the delay, the more time the two suspects are out there. He said it is a very dangerous situation. A few days later, Corporal Patrick got a cell phone dump on a registered owner of the vehicle that the suspect was driving. Their FaceTime message was at 11:55. 13 minutes after the murder, Quentin FaceTimed the woman who owns the suspect's vehicle. Corporal Patrick looked at the internet search history of the owner of the vehicle. He found out that she searched for a body repairs shop near her at noon. At 2:30 in the afternoon, she researched Bath and Bay Works. She also researched Gwinnett County. She found the Gwinnett Police Department Twitter feed and she clicked on it and the headline was "Police are investigating the murder of a man who was shot at Peachtree Corners." He said she knew about everything when she was first invited. She was feigning the surprise she had on her face. Corporal Patrick said their next goal is to have a conversation with her again and see what more information she can provide them. He said hopefully the conversation would lead them to obtain an arrest warrant for Quentin. A week later, she was invited back to headquarters. Corporal Patrick told her that he wanted to let her know about what was going on in the case. He told her that they have recovered physical evidence out of the car. He said he would like to rehash some things. He asked her if Quentin came to her physically when he wanted to go out in her car. She said he came to her physically. Corporal Patrick said she didn't tell him that back on the 14th. He asked her if Quentin told her where he was going with the car or what he wanted to use the car for. She said he didn't tell her. Corporal Patrick said, so Quentin does whatever he wants with her car, and then made a couple of phone calls to her. She said yes, but he was panicking and he said someone tried to rob him and they shot the CR. Corporal Patrick said what she was telling him now was different from what she told him when she was first invited. Corporal Patrick told her that they did a search warrant on her phone. He said that, at one point, she started searching for what happened. She said she did. He asked her how she knew where it happened. She said when they were getting ready to leave, they saw Quentin in her car. She said 4 hours before she was stopped by the police, his friend picked her up, and they ran into Quentin when he was trying to return her car. She said when she went to the car, Quentin told her he was at Peachtree Corners. Corporal Patrick said so she started googling Gwinnett County Peachtree Corners. He asked her what she saw. She said she saw that there was a homicide. He asked her if she asked Quentin who shot who, and did Quentin give her an answer. He said he wants to know what Quentin said because there was more to this, because she didn't tell him everything the first night, and she is still not telling him everything again. She said she has told him everything she knew. She said she has nothing to hide. Corporal Patrick said just to make sure that he is clear, Quentin told her that he was on Peachtree Corners Circle and somebody tried to rob him, and her car was shot up. She said yes. She said Quentin told her that his teenage friend was in the car. Corporal Patrick asked her where she thinks Quentin will be. She said Quentin might be staying with a female friend. He asked her if she knows the address. She told him that the address is on her phone. Corporal Patrick went through the phone and found the female friend's contact information. He told her that he needs to get back to work, and he left the interrogation room. When Corporal Patrick joined his teammates, he told them that he still thinks that she is holding back, but the big takeaway from the interrogation was that she gave him a story that Quentin told her. He said Quentin concocted the story that he got robbed and that her car got shot up. He said obviously, the physical evidence does not necessarily match. He said they believe that the damage to the vehicle came from gunshots that were fired from inside the car. He said the next steps are to reach out to Quentin, then the teenager, and see if they are willing to provide any kind of statement as to about where they were and what they were doing on the day of the incident. 24 days in, with still no phone records on Darian or the suspect, Corporal Patrick reached out to Quentin, but he did not respond. He said he thinks Quentin was not going to call back. Detective Harrison said Quentin might talk to Corporal Patrick, but the only way he was going to get him there is with an arrest warrant. The next morning, Corporal Patrick and Detective Casey decided to run by the address of Quentin's female friend to see if he was still in the area. They drove for several minutes around the area, but they didn't see anyone. A few moments later, a call came into Corporal Patrick's phone. He was told that Quentin's attorney has reached out to homicide. He said the attorney relayed that Quentin wasn't the shooter, but he knows the shooter. Corporal Patrick said Quentin's attorney was trying to lay down some sort of self-defense claim. He said he was going to reach out to the attorney because he is curious to know the connection between the victim and them. 2 days later, Corporal Patrick gets Quentin's story from his attorney. He was able to confirm that Quentin was involved in the incident. The attorney said the story Quentin told him was that he was driving the juvenile over the Peachtree corner to go see his girlfriend. It was Valentine's Day, so he had flowers and other stuff. They claimed that they got lost and flagged the victim to ask him for directions. The victim started freaking out on them, and he hot agitated very fast. He immediately pulled out a gun and gunshots were exchanged. Quentin is claiming that he wasn't the shooter. Corporal Patrick said it looks to him like the driver was holding the gun. He said Quentin's story just doesn't make sense to him. He said it looked to him that Quentin was prepared for more than a date. He said if they could set up a time for Quentin to come in for a formal interview, they could get more from him. They reached out to the attorney and he agreed to bring Quentin to homicide for a formal interview in 4 days. Corporal Patrick told his team members that he will allow Quentin to tell his story. Then, he will start to pick holes in it and show him that the evidence appears to show that the gun was fired by somebody from the driver's seat. He said if Quentin tells a story that puts the gun and the actual murder in the lap of the teenager. In the meantime, Corporal Patrick will try to track down the teenager with the hope that the teenager will try to clear his name. The next day, Corporal Patrick reached out to the teenager and spoke to his mother. He said he let her know that if her son had anything to do with this, now would be the best time for him to get out in front of it and make a statement. The mother planned to bring the teenager to tell his story once they retain an attorney. 29 days and while waiting for Darian's and the suspect's phone records, the team prepares to meet with Quentin face to face. As the deadline passes, Quentin's attorney called Detective Patrick and asked him to meet him in the parking lot. When Patrick got to the parking lot, he met only Quentin's attorney. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that he was under the impression that Quentin was going to show up at homicide by 5 p.m. and give them his side of the story. Quentin's attorney told Corporal Patrick that he is not playing cat and mouse with him. Corporal Patrick said it has been a month now and he has not been able to produce Quentin. The attorney said he knows. He said he feels like he has got some good stuff for him to share. He said he vetted Quentin and he believed him. He said Quentin has answers. According to the attorney, Quentin doesn't know Darian. He said Quentin is adamant. He said Quentin told him that he has no clue about who Darian was, and his only mistake was leaving the scene of the incident. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that what they have an issue with is if everything that happened was random, why Quentin didn't stick around. The attorney said Quentin didn't stick around because he went to prison. So, Quentin is like every other black kid in the country. He is scared of the police. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that the ball is his guy's court. He said he appreciates everything the attorney has said to him, but he will rather hear the words coming out from Quentin's mouth. He told the attorney to give him a call back. Detectives decided it was time they made their move. They submitted an arrest warrant to the DA based on the circumstantial evidence they had on Quentin. The next morning, Corporal Patrick sent the fugitive warrant unit to stake out the home of Quentin's female friend. Corporal Patrick himself went to Darian's family to give them an update about their investigation. He told them that there are 2 individuals that they are looking at. He said he has secured an arrest warrant for 1 individual. Quentin's father said the family has been thinking of having a resolution to the case. He said part of the reason why his son is not alive was that someone did not have a spirit of forgiveness. He said he is ready to see the person and see what the person's explanation is for why the incident happened. Corporal Patrick told him that they are trying to do everything to help the family. Quentin's father gave Corporal Patrick a portrait of his son as a gift. They both greeted each other and Corporal Patrick left. Then, the fugitive warrants unit called Detective Patrick and informed him that they have arrested Quentin at his female friend's apartment. They said he did not want to speak with detectives at the time of his arrest, but he has been transported to Gwinnett County Jail. Corporal Patrick said they still have 1 outstanding. He said hopefully if they can pull up the cell phone that belongs to the second suspect at the scene, they can go ahead and secure an arrest warrant for him. After 2 months, Detective Patrick finally got the phone records for Darian, Quentin, and the teenager. The phone records revealed that there were no phone calls between Darian, Quentin, and the teenager, but the phone records for Quentin showed that right at 11:30, Quentin's phone pings off the nearest tower. He said that was the digital evidence that they were looking for. The phone records of the teenager revealed that between 10 a.m. and 10:45 a.m., the cell phone was pinging off the tower in Marietta. He said they didn't get additional pings because the phone was not in Gwinnett County and it wasn't in use. He said that does not exclude him from their suspects list. He said it's going to go for trial, and they will see where it takes them to. He said there will be a backstory that Quentin is going to tell. He said maybe when that happens, they will be able to turn the page. Quentin Lawton's prints were later found on the roll of tape in the suspect's vehicle. He was charged with aggravated assault and felony murder. He is awaiting trial. The teenager has not been charged with any crime concerning the murder of Darian Dennis.